totally agree with the right to die. If I were suffering, I would rather know that I could go peacefully with some kind of AIDS, perhaps morphine or whatever, rather than suffer for years and years. And I have a close relative that had to take herself to Switzerland to be allowed to die when she was in considerable pain and agony, and she'd have been living for the rest of her life getting worse. And it's hard to see someone that you love go, but it was been harder to know that there was nothing that could be done for her.
I think when you're in that frame of mind, isn't that, that's your option, that's what you feel, and it's the people that are around you that really suffer, isn't it? I think more.
Yes, this obviously it's not something one takes lightly. If I were, as I say, if I were terminally ill and in pain, I would think about my relatives and I'd want to talk with them. And I think most people, if you have close relatives, feel sufficiently for you, they will actually support you. And I think there should be this right.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's right. I mean, it is the right person at the end of the day that we want to do that. I want to just come on to something a bit lighter, actually, to come off the subject a bit. I mean, in the paper here, we've got being jealous of Facebook friends leads to depression. So, this is a social media in itself now is creating all these depression, if you like. I mean, we'll all be going to see our own psychotherapist, won't we? Saying about.
We booked it. We're all booking. We're depressed because of Facebook friends.
I mean, do we? Is it out there really to make people jealous?
Oh, Facebook. Look, I quite enjoy Facebook. I quite have a bit of a laugh with a few chums and posting. I do. I like it. I miss it. I have fun on it. But I think when you take it so seriously as to how many friends you've got, because they're not real friends. You know, if you actually look at it, there's people you're connected with. They're called friends. Some of those are friends. Others they're just connections. I bet some people have got friends linked on Facebook. They don't even know who those people are. Right?
So is it a competitive thing? Is it sort of like, oh, let's get 1,000 friends?
It might be for some people. I think where it goes wrong is where you look at things like bullying through Facebook or bullying through through this kind of internet thing, or because there's that lack of responsibility, and it feels okay because you're distanced by something. You can put up a post on Facebook because actually, you know what? I don't see who I'm hurting. You wouldn't say that to the person, but somehow posting about people, group of people. For some reason, some of these sort of things like Facebook can almost allow you to do it, and you think, hey, I don't own that. I never actually said it. I just posted it. If you read it, it's up to you. But it can hurt people, and I'm sure.
But then, isn't that better than saying it to somebody's face? You know what I mean? A lot of the time, people backstab or say. I mean, if they put it out there, at least they're being honest, and at least they give their own opinion.
So what's honesty?
Just by saying what's out there. I mean,
so if you honestly have a conversation with somebody, it's fantastic. I'd love to go back to those just having a great conversation. Look at the number of clients I work with, just for example, in business, where they email each other across the office, and you think, I've got this radical idea. Stand up, walk round to somebody's desk and say, hi, how are you? Can we talk about this? And they solve it really, really quickly. And often the problems at work are, they're imagined, they're creative, whereas a good conversation would solve it rapidly. We're amazingly good at communicating.
I mean, have we lost that interaction between people?
I think again it's intent, and back to responsibility again. Is what was your intent? There's all these things out there, whether it's Facebook, social, experiments, or what you're communicating with people, or saying things to somebody that you feel like you've got to say, but it all comes down to your intent behind it, and how you put these things that we've got to utilise into play. That's what it comes down to. But it's very revealing about people, and they don't realise that they've given themselves, they've shown their hand completely about their perspective and where they're at. We've had a complete battering, obviously, 740 odd comments, and a high percentage of that, obviously, because people
Well,
who
that's
don't
a great way of getting
understand
things out there,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Chris, do you battle on social media at all?
Yes, I use Facebook quite a lot, and I use Twitter. I hate Twitter, but I find it does help spread the word. Facebook is much my preferred medium, but yes, you can get competitive. I'm getting every single day people that I've never even heard of who are putting friend requests in, and I just, unless I know who they are, I just delete it. But I mean, if we want to be competitive, I could have a few thousand followers. I'm not competitive. I just let the people that I know follow me.
But we all put our best pictures on there, don't we? I mean, we do delete pictures. I'm not going to put that on Facebook. You know, look a bit funny there. We're a bit vain, aren't we?
Well, we've just been running a Facebook. It's running at the moment a Facebook campaign for the charity. Actually, it's not just for my charity, for all the charities that's dealing with esophageal cancer. It's called Point to Your Esophagus. And what I'm asking everyone to do that wishes to do it is to have a photograph taken of themselves pointing to where their esophagus is.
I bet they're all over the place, probably in their ears.
Well,
and legs and
yeah, that's the point. We've set up a website actually. It's just ptyo.org.uk, and it explains where the esophagus is and how to do the selfie. So we've had a number of people pointing to their esophagus that we know of. We just ask people to do one of those photographs, post on Facebook, and ask their friends to do the same. That way we're hoping that people will actually learn what the esophagus is.
yeah, because we all think, oh, well, maybe it's our throat or something, don't they? You know, I mean, that's the first thing a lot of people probably at home would think as well at the same time. Okay, I want to move on to a local story here, Hampshire. The hospital bosses are spending £400,000 per month buying in agency nurses in a bid to cope with soaring numbers of patients and staff and sickness. This has been opened up at Winchester Royal Hampshire County Hospital and Andover and Basingstoke as well. But I think it affects all hospitals everywhere. I mean, these agency people are getting enormous amounts of money. And what's your opinion on that?
No, I think this is because it's been a lack of spending on the NHS, and so we haven't been training up the doctors and nurses that we require. But we do rely heavily on immigration for nursing. I've spent 2 nights in hospital last year, and I kept a log of all the different people walking around and tried to guess their nationality, and very, very few of them were actually British. And these people who say, oh, we should not have non-British people working, we're not going to get them. We're not going to get British workers. And I mean the menial tasks as well.
We've got hundreds of people, thousands of people who are employed.
But they're not trained.
They're not educated.
Yes, they need to be
So
trained.
instead of us paying thousands and thousands of pounds over and above the need to with the agencies, we could just give that into. Yeah.
I mean, there's an article today as well
it's
about
privatised.
GPs. That, there's a lack of GPs now, and they won't. That's in the papers today about the training for GPs, and that there's not enough going into. So we're going to have a crisis, aren't we, Paul, in a few years' time in the NHS completely. It's bad enough as it is. People living over as well.
No, so a couple of quick ones. Firstly, I've had limited experience of the NHS, but in terms of the service, I think it's just a fantastic service. So my family have benefited absolutely from the NHS. In terms of waste or perhaps lack of risk management, for example, education, are we training people, are we educating enough for themselves as individuals, but also in terms of health workers, healthcare workers, doctors and so on. So when I sort of see 400 grand, one naturally thinks it's wasted, but obviously I don't know who it's being spent on. But if they're being paid, over the odds for a job, I think, well, why not you just plan for how many people do we need to work in the business, because it is a business. How can we help develop the right people in the right way to better use that money? Because sometimes it looks like a knee-jerk reaction, doesn't it? We haven't got enough people, so quick, get in agency staff, pay them well over the odds, and you hear 15, 16, 1700 quid a day for an agency doctor. And if they're saving lives, clearly it's worth a lot of money, but should we have planned it better?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. So if it was run more like the free schools, for example, and it was run as a business, where people.
It's run as a business, though, isn't it? But it's not run as a very effective business, and that's why they're running it into the ground, in my opinion. So when they float it, then all of the stocks and shares are going to be very low. Exactly what we do with the post office. How dare you run our assets as a business? These are the people's assets. They belong to the people of this country. To come along and say, right, we're going to run this as a business and privatise it all. Look what we've done to the railways. Look what we've done to our energy supplies, our water, and we're going to sit back and watch them do it to our hospitals and the NHS now as well. Or rubbing our hands together, who've got the stocks and shares behind it. For what? So that you can go and squander £400,000 a month on agency nurses that would cost you much less than that if you'd have trained people who are going through their university.
I mean, okay, so maybe the wrong people are in charge there. Maybe if we went out and we got, some of these heads of these big major companies and they run the NHS, would that make a difference?
So if you look at some, for example, many businesses where your top salesperson then becomes manager, they go from being a great salesperson to a lousy manager. If you actually looked at the business as who should be good at sales, who should be in management, who should be in leadership, and you wonder with the NHS, doctors should doctor, business people might need to run it, or however you want to do it, but actually look at who should be in the best place at the best time to run it. Would I want to run the NHS? Good God, no. But could we get somebody in there that really understands the business of it? And I think, it's the waste, but I also do feel the community has a responsibility. So we go right back to being always about our health. So when I go to Southampton Hospital, which is a fantastic hospital, there's something slightly strange about walking through reception or into reception where you see somebody on a drip, right, smoking a fag. And I just wonder if there isn't a lack of education at the base level before we start worrying about foreign.
Okay, I just want to do a really quick final story because we are running to a little bit out of time. So here, revealed why stressed cats love to curl up inside the box. So, when you're stressed, what do you do? Elizabeth, what do you do?
Meditate.
You meditate?
Yeah.
Okay, and does that help?
It works amazingly, yeah.
Chris?
Nowadays, I tend to play card games on the computer. Just something to take your mind away from anything else.
Paul?
I haven't got time to get stressed. I've got 2 kids. There's stress. There's games to play, books to read. I haven't got time for stress.
So you just running around?
Yeah.
But aren't you stressed then?
No. I tell you one of the best ways, honestly, read a story to your kids. Just incredible.
Yeah. Okay, that's brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us today, and I want to thank our guests here today. They're absolutely marvellous, and we look forward to seeing you at the same time tomorrow. And remember, if you want anything, talk@thatsort.com, get in touch with us, and we'll see you same time tomorrow. Goodbye.